begin to describe them other than to say that they are repulsive. In total, we caught and arrested 16 men during this 3-day operation who are charged with a number of felonies, some of which carry a sentence of 15 years. Of the arrests we made, one is a registered sexual predator, 45-year-old Michael Daltrey. Not only is Daltrey a registered sex offender, he was on federal probation for similar crimes for 3 years, which ended in 2017. Daltrey began chatting with an undercover detective who was posing as a 14-year-old child. After we issued an arrest warrant, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office located Daltrey, and after a short car chase, he was taken into custody. Another notable arrest is 48-year-old Matthew Jones. Not only did he engage in sexual conversations with a juvenile online, after a court-authorized search warrant of his mobile telephone, we found 51 images depicting child pornography. Matthew Jones is currently in jail with a $398,500 bond. The final arrest I'd like to highlight is 30-year-old Melvin Rosa Vieira, who solicited sex with a 15-year-old female online. To make matters even worse, Melvin Rosa Vieira is a member of the U.S. Army Reserve. Vieira was arrested on Monday, August 10th, and his military chain of command was notified. The repugnant behavior and messages were not limited to these 3 suspects I highlighted. Everyone was arrested as part of Operation Small Talk, engaged in abhorrent behavior. 6 of the 16 men attempted to meet that fake teen in person, and in some cases, they had adult products with them in anticipation of having sex with that child. As a parent myself, this activity crushes me to my core. No child should ever suffer at the hands of an adult trying to live out their corrupt fantasies. For years, social media has given our children a new platform to talk with and engage people across the globe. Unfortunately, it has also become a place where online predators can hide behind a computer screen. As your sheriff, I will continue to chase down these vile human beings and put them behind bars exactly where they belong. To the parents watching, we need your help. Be vigilant. Know who your children are talking to online. Always keep a watchful eye on their social media accounts. Consider a child block or password on sites your child shouldn't access. And have real, open conversations about them in regards to the potential dangers lurking online. A great resource for parents is our Internet Safety Public Service Announcement, which outlines ways parents and guardians can safeguard their kids from potential predators. This very important PSA is available now across all our social media platforms. Before I invite our Attorney General to say a few words, I'd like to commend and thank our detectives for their work and their tenacity during this operation. It was certainly a challenging task, especially with the extreme vulgar conduct of these suspects, and our detectives acted with eagerness and diligence to apprehend these criminals. We also had a number of law enforcement partners who I'd like to take just a quick moment to thank for their assistance. The Manatee County, Manatee County, Pasco County, Pinellas County, and Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, along with the St. Petersburg Police Department. At this time, I'm pleased to introduce a great partner for law enforcement, a passionate advocate for victims, and someone who aggressively pursues those who seek to exploit children and human traffickers so that they can no longer victimize our families or our communities. I am pleased to introduce our Florida Attorney General, Ashley Moody. General?
Thank you, Sheriff Chronister, and thank you to the men and women who worked so hard and proactively to take these individuals off our streets and protect our children. It's an honor to be with Sheriff Chronister. It's an honor to watch him work, engage with his deputies, remind them that yes, oftentimes we have to be reactive to crimes as they happen in our community. But part of policing, so much of policing, is proactive police work, identifying those who are dangerous living among us and taking the threats out of the communities before they can victimize and harm others. As a mother, the thought of anyone harming a child in the way that these individuals engaged in this activity suggested is abhorrent. 16 individuals were taken into custody, men as old as 59 years old, preying on children as young as 14. I'm sure the parents in this room can attest we will do everything in our power to protect our children. And as Sheriff Chronister suggested, as the internet and as technology has evolved, the tools that these sexual predators use to target and prey upon our children have increased. And that is why it is not just the proactive policing that is important. As we now have children staying home more often because of COVID-19, their online presence is increasing. I can tell you as a mother of a 10-year-old, much to my disappointment, is increasing. We have to be vigilant, and it's not just police. It's prosecutors and parents. And we all must do what we can collectively within our own power to take these individuals off our streets. As Attorney General and as the chair of the Statewide Council on Human Trafficking, I have seen firsthand how young targets of these predators can quickly become victims of sex trafficking. The average age that a trafficked victim is first used for commercial sex is between 12 and 14 years old. Without the work of these dedicated investigators, this proactive policing, predators like the 16 arrested this week would have unmonitored and unaccountable access to minors online with the goal of meeting in person. And it is because of these law enforcement heroes that we can track down these monsters that are looking to prey on our children. And as this preying and as this type of activity becomes more and more pervasive, I want to call attention to those that are calling on this movement to defund the police. Proactive policing, taking predators like this off the street, requires funding. And as we have taken these actions this week to remove them from our streets, there are those calling to defund investigative units that do just this around the nation. According to the National Sex Offender Registry, the average abuser who will go on to exploit 117 victims in their lifetime. Think about those numbers, and think about that compared to the number of people that Sheriff Chronister and his men and women have taken off the streets. I am eternally grateful for the efforts of these officers, their acumen, their attention to detail, their persistence, because that's good policing. That's what gets the job done. That's what gets these criminals off the street. And I will forever be grateful that Sheriff Chronister has trusted us, the Attorney General's office, and me to help lead these prosecutions. God bless the detectives and you, Sheriff Chronister, for all your hard work.
Thank you, General. Again, I want to thank our Attorney General for your tremendous support of law enforcement and all that you do to keep our community and all Floridians safe. Thank you, ma'am. At this time, I'll attempt to answer any questions I can about this operation, and as well as the Attorney General making herself available for any other questions. I did want to, before we get started, let everyone know that right after this, you guys will get the 60 names of the individuals arrested along with all their charges.
Can either of you offer any advice to parents? It seems like kids these days, teenagers these days, are very proficient with apps and phones and the internet. And a parent can try to stop their child, but it seems like they'll just get through the cracks and be able to talk to somebody like this?
And I think it starts, and that's a great question, I think it starts with having these difficult conversations with your child who feels that they need that independence, and we have to be parents first. We have to be parents and safeguard our children from predators that are lurking online. So we have to sacrifice some of that freedom that we would like to provide our children to make sure that we know exactly what sites they're visiting and who they're speaking to. And there's no easy way to do that except just being more invasive in our child's life to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect our children.
Sheriff, if I may.
Yes.
You know, when we have these press conferences, it's so important that we let the community know what's going on. Who's being arrested, what types of crimes we're seeing. But I believe the reason we do these public announcements is so that we can communicate helpful information so that it's not just the police, the prosecutors that are in this fight, that parents and other community members can help us and we give them the information to be part of that effort. As a mother, and I would invite you to go online to myfloridalegal.com, the Attorney General's website. It lists ways that you can protect. I'm always pushing out ways that parents can be engaged in their children's lives and protect them online because, as you know, sadly, I've done these conferences where we've announced a child that has been lured and that started online. So I will tell you as the Attorney General, and I will also tell you as the mother of a young child who we go back and forth how much time he spends on the internet. And these games, online games, and these platforms are very tricky because people can get in and communicate with your child. My husband and I have set forth a very simple rule. You cannot be friends with someone online that you are not friends with in real life. Because the concept, they understand there are two different concepts. So if he knows someone and they are friends at school or they've had play dates, they're okay to be friends with online. But I ask all the time, repeatedly, every night, any day that he's been on the internet, who did you play with today? Tell me who these names are. And if he can't tell us and show us who the friend is in real life, then they can't be friends anymore. It's a simple rule, and I know it does restrict a lot of the groups and communities, but it's easy for parents to understand because even if you don't understand technology as parents, you can understand that. If someone's your friend online, they need to be your friend in real life.
Great advice. Thank you, General. Anything else?
With the exception of the one you mentioned who was a sexual predator, did any of the other ones have previous charges or were they registered offenders? And what does that say about them being kind of out and still being able to do this?
Yeah, none of them, with the exception of Mr. Daltrey that we highlighted, have previous similar type charges.
This may be more appropriate for a state attorney, for example, but do you see these cases difficult to prove and see all the way through the system to a point where a suspect will actually face prison time?
I don't believe so, and I'll fight tooth and nail to make sure that these individuals are prosecuted. I think their actions, if you saw the messages, the photographs, the descriptive type actions that they described that they wanted to have and do to these young women, I think it's indefensible. All right, everybody, thank you. Stay safe and healthy.